All right, guys, it is the end of our Thursday, and we are going to be going to chapter 3, lesson 4, and we are going to be turning in our lesson quiz today. So we are going to review our e-text and then if you have your actual book, you can turn to page 94 to 97. And then after we review that, we're going to do our lesson quiz together. So remember, to get to our history website, you're going to go to Google Classroom. You're going to click on the waffle, scroll all the way down till you hit Savvis Easy Bridge. And then you're going to click on the history book. Here, let me just show you guys again. So this is the home page where you guys are going to find your quiz. I'm not going to post it till after we do our lesson. But here's social studies. And then from there, you're going to scroll down to chapter 3. And then you're going to click on lesson 4. Governments work together. Oops, sorry. I did not mean to take the quiz right now. We're going to do our e-text. And you guys are allowed to use your book while taking your quiz. All right, let's go ahead and reread and review governments and how they work together. And then we're going to take our quiz. I will know how our government works with other governments to solve problems.
Countries solving problems. Countries want to get along, so they find ways to solve problems. Sometimes they trade to get along because trade is important to countries. To trade is to buy, sell, or exchange things. Trading helps countries learn to work together. Sometimes countries hope problems between them will end if they learn about each other's culture. They have concerts and art showings. They offer exchange programs. This means students from one country go to school in another country for a certain length of time. 1. Reading check. Highlight how trade helps countries solve problems.
So think about I don't know, right now, BTS and Blackpink. Those are music. Those are concerts from another country. And what they do is they come here to America and then we trade. They trade with us because Korea sends these people, these famous artists, singers and dancers, and then people buy their music, people buy their merchandise, people buy tickets to go to their concerts. And then by doing that, then people here in America can learn about their culture. They can learn how maybe people in Korea dress or what kind of music they listen to or what their language sounds like. So that would be considered buying or selling. Or we can exchange, like how I was telling you guys yesterday. There is an exchange program where they send people from other countries to learn about their culture, to learn about their language, to learn about the food that they eat, the clothes that they wear. Okay, so we use trade where we buy, sell, or exchange things to help us understand another country's culture. And the more we understand someone's culture, usually the better relationships you have with them. For example, your best friends are your best friends, not only because you guys get along so well, but because you guys know each other really well.
The United Nations. The United Nations was created more than 60 years ago to help countries work together to keep peace and stay safe.
That's going to be a question on your quiz. The United Nations was created to keep peace, which means that when there is times of people not getting along or a war, then the United Nations is there to help keep peace with people.
Peace means freedom from fighting or war. So the United Nations helps resolve or end problems. It also helps to better or improve human rights. Human rights are the freedoms that every person should have. The United Nations also helps poor countries make health conditions better so people stay well. Word-wise. Antonym. The word united means joined together. What is a word that means the opposite of united?
Divided, apart. So why?
2. Reading check. Cause and effect. Highlight why the United Nations was created.
To keep peace and help people stay safe, and also to make sure that all humans have their basic human rights.
Ways leaders solve problems. World leaders practice diplomacy. This means they are careful about others' beliefs as they work toward keeping good relations among different governments. They listen to what others say. Then they use skill in dealing with problems to reach decisions that most everyone can agree on. Some problems or conflicts are solved through a treaty. A treaty is an agreement between two or more nations. The treaty might end a war or set trade rules. It might tell where one country ends and another country begins.
That's going to be on your test. A treaty is an agreement between two or more nations, and treaties can end a war by creating an agreement. Okay, let's create an agreement where we're not going to be in a war anymore, or to set rules.
Sometimes countries try to solve problems by using military force. The United States has done this to protect our beliefs and safety and to protect the human rights of people in other countries.
So another thing to know about military force, it is sometimes used to solve problems, but by using military force, sometimes it can also create conflict. So you don't always want to right away go into military force. We use military force when we feel like it's the best way to keep as many people safe, but sometimes military force does not do that. So that is going to be another question on your quiz, where military force can sometimes create conflict. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take our quiz now. I'm going to go over it first, and then you guys are going to take it. All right. So let's go over our questions. Question number 1, trade is important because what? Show me in the chat what you guys think the answer is. A, people want to protect their rights. B, people want to have fair elections. C, people can learn about other cultures. Or D, people buy goods from their own country. Why is trade important? Remember, we talked about like BTS and Blackpink, or how Miss Park went to, and I studied at a school in Korea to learn about the Korean language and to learn about what they eat. Those are all things that are part of people's cultures. Okay, Nicholas Russell, you only got to write it one time. C is correct. People can learn about other cultures. No worries. Thank you. Number 2, what does the United Nations do? What does the United Nations do? Is it A, it trades with countries? B, it keeps world peace. It helps keep world peace. C, it decides on punishments. Or D, it makes US laws. The United Nations is for all nations. It is not just for the United States, so it's definitely not D. Very good. I see lots of B's. B is correct. It helps keep world peace. C, I'm sorry, not C. Number 3, an agreement between two or more nations is called. Number 3, an agreement between two or more nations is called a what? If two or more nations are agreeing on something, like let's say that they're in war and they say, let's have some peace, and they agree and they write it on a document, what do we call that document? Nope, they're not trading. It is not a trade, an agreement. It's not when they're buying. A trade would be like buying or selling or exchanging things. An agreement, like if you're agreeing not to fight in a war, would be considered a treaty. Very good. Nicholas, only one time. Very good. A treaty. Number 4, why might two countries sign a treaty? Why might two countries sign a treaty? Why might two countries sign a treaty? And we just talked about that in question number 3. A, they want to end a war. B, they want to start a war. C, they don't agree on land borders. Or D, they don't want to trade anymore. Why might two countries sign a treaty? A, they want to end a war. We wouldn't want to start a war. They want to end a war. They want to get along. And then last question, which of the following is a conflict? Which of the following is a conflict? When leaders practice diplomacy, when human rights are protected, when countries trade goods with each other, or when one country uses force against another. Very good. When leaders practice diplomacy, that means that they're being kind to each other. So that's not conflict. Conflict is like when people are not getting along, usually like if they're fighting. Like if you're fighting with your brother or sister, your cousins, there's conflict. When human rights are protected, if human rights are being protected, there usually isn't conflict. That's what people want to do. They want to protect human rights. When countries trade goods with each other, which of the following is a conflict? No, when countries trade goods with each other, that's a good thing. So the best answer is going to be D, when one country uses military force against another. If another country comes to America and they try to use military force to get their way, Nicholas, stay on task, then that's going to create conflict between the two countries. All right, guys. Oops, I forgot to answer a question. Sorry, number 4, it was why might two countries sign a treaty? It's to end a war. I forgot to put A. So that's always very important for you to not quickly click submit, just like I did. You need to make sure you're double checking your work, making sure all your answers are submitted. All right, I am going to now assign the quiz. Oops. All right, your assignment is now up. So if you don't see it under home page, refresh your screen. If you don't know how to refresh your screen, over here, there's going to be like a circular arrow that's going to say reload. If you click reload, it'll reload your screen and then now your quiz should be up. If you're having trouble finding that, you can just click on the word assignments under social science. Social science is another word for social studies or history. If you click on assignments, you'll see all of your assignments that you need to turn in, and you'll also see assignments that that you might have started but not finished. Okay. Once you are done with that, you need to check Google Classroom. If you see your name under missing assignments, you need to get them completed. Your costumes are due today. If you have not turned in Miss Park's costume, those are due today because I'm going to be choosing one of those to dress up for tomorrow because tomorrow is costume day. And then let's see, we got a couple of you guys who have science to finish, a couple of you with math to finish. We have a few of you with history to finish. There's a few of you who need to finish your missing ELA gradebook. If you are unsure how to fill those out, watch the YouTube video for directions. And then there's a few of you who need to turn in your selection and comprehension tests. I've already spoken to you guys. You have 1 week to turn in those comprehension and selection assessments before they become automatic zeros. So make sure you guys get that done. All right.